All right, so here's a look at the running back room. I'll go full screen. All right, to kind of paint the picture. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about, I really spent some good time with this next segment. I hope you guys like it. I'm going to talk about the running backs with Jam out, right, for this first game, and how I think that each of these running backs could be utilized against Florida State, okay? So let's start from the left. You got your boy Jam Miller, right, who's out. You got Richard Young, who I think clearly would be elevated to running back 1. Thumbs up if you're excited about Richard Young. Seriously, inside the comment box, if you're excited to see some opportunities for Richard Young, thumbs up inside the comment box. Or how about Daniel Hill and Dre Washington, okay? And I'm going to talk about each of those running backs, and clearly, you know, if there's, who knows, I can't tell the future. I don't know the rep distribution, but you also have Kevin Riley and A.K. Deere, a part of the crew. Oh, Sean's a Cowboy fan. Man, 49ers and Cowboys don't like each other, dog. You know how that is. Oh, man, they've had some battles. All right, so first running back we're going to go over is Richard Young. Okay, if you play NCAA football, the video game, this guy is a menace. Menace to society. Anyone seen that? 5'11", 211 pounds. He's a redshirt sophomore, played in 7 games during the 2024 season. He had 27 rushes for 146 yards. He's a power runner with some good speed, right? I'm thinking about this, though. This is the one thing that I want to just watch over the next 2 weeks, even into game 1, game 2, game 3. I think one of the things that was not emphasized enough when we talk about Jam Miller's game is his pass protection. And sometimes we overlook that when we're talking about the running backs, right? We're like, yeah, can this guy hit holes? Is he a downhill runner? Does he have power? Does he have speed? How is the running back in pass protection? I don't think we've seen a lot of opportunities from Richard Young in that situation, right? So, look, I want to talk about each side of the coin here, okay? Is Richard Young capable of doing damage? 100%. But he's got to be able to block a quarterback who's never started in a game like this, right? You got to think about Richard Young, and he has limited experience. Now, these are opportunities for growth, but, you know, this is a big stage. I get it. When you're an Alabama football fan, you already won the game against Florida State. The way that you see Florida State, you see them as less than, right? You think that Florida State is the same team as last year. I want to wake you up and tell you that they are not. I don't want to try to scare you. Florida State retooled. They have a 3-3-5 defense. They have Tony White as a defensive coordinator. I'm telling you, I don't think you'll just go into this game. This isn't a walk in the park by any stretch of the imagination. Look, this is serious. Game 1 is serious. So Richard Young, this is a big opportunity. I'm curious, even because of this, to see what happens with the line. 13.5 last week. I'm curious to see if it slides just a little bit. Jam Miller's he's that guy. But Richard Young, I believe in him. This is how I feel that Richard Young will be utilized. I kind of go back to that game against Missouri, right? And one of the things that you'll see with Richard Young, this was a hell of a play that he made last year, right? This is basically just a mesh with the running back. And what he's going to do, I can't show the actual play because of copyright, but I can walk you through what happened here. So you remember this. You got your quarterback. You know who that was. It was Ty Simpson. You got, guess who? Richard Young back there. Well, those two are starting against Florida State. There's some experience for you, right? Shadow of your own end zone. Love this play. You hand off to Richard Young, and what Richard Young does is he's a very north and south runner, but he's got a little bit of shake to him. And on this particular play, once he kind of gets to that second level, he's able to make this safety miss with a nice cut, right? But I do wonder about his top end speed because he was caught on this play. Now, I have no idea. We're going to have to, see overall his top end speed. But my point is he's a very downhill runner. And I think he's got a little bit of shake to him and some power. In fact, I kind of go back to watching Richard Young. You remember Jeremiah Alexander? This was before this fake, this spring game or practice or whatever that we had. It wasn't it for me. But the year before, when we actually had a spring game, you go back and watch it. Richard Young put Jeremiah Alexander on the turf not once but twice. Yo, he's a very powerful running back. He's got a little bit of shake to him. Very capable. So Alabama's going to feed him, and I think he'll run between the tackles just fine. 100%. So I think he'll be an all-purpose type back, and I don't know how well he catches the football. I would imagine that's kind of a prerequisite for the running back position, because Jam Miller, he can catch the football, right? Very good out of the backfield. We're down on a wheel route. Jam Miller could catch. All right, next up you got Daniel Hill, okay? Thumbs up if you're excited for Daniel Hill. I am. All right, look, the size alone, and I think I have him down as 244 right here. He might be bigger than that. Has anybody heard that he's 250? I actually have. I've heard that he's over 250 pounds. Okay. He's a sophomore. Last season had 21 rushes for 61 yards. He's a bulldozer. Okay. But he's got some speed to him. I'm serious. Type in this on your free time. Okay. Daniel Hill highlights 2024 season. I did all this morning. Okay. Just to kind of refresh. I think where they utilized Daniel Hill, and this is last year, this was the first game that he got to play against Western Kentucky. He scored a touchdown on this particular play. And all they did, and guess who was at quarterback? Once again, Ty Simpson. So it's kind of cool. Ty Simpson has played with all these guys in actual game situations, right? All he does right here is hand the ball off to Daniel Hill, and Daniel Hill basically gets hit right here, but then is able to have enough power to kind of drive over the goal line. So I think Daniel Hill clearly will be utilized in this situation. And what I'm painting is, I have no idea, what the game plan is, but I think you have three different backs to be able to facilitate still a running game against Florida State, right? And you've seen the photos of this dude. This dude is absolutely jacked. You're like, my goodness, that's a running back? Yeah, that's kind of the standard over here. Like, you ain't 220, step aside, boy. Like, these are men, like these are NFL type backs, okay? But I started looking at more Daniel Hill. He's actually got sleeper speed on him. And can you imagine just kind of a 10 doses of a 250-pound running back? See, Riz heard 252. That's what I heard. Oh, someone said 255. I'm serious. You imagine 10 doses of Daniel Hill? I don't care what middle linebackers out there having to deal with a 250-pound running back maybe 10 times, or I don't know, goal line. Yo, that's gonna wear on you. So this particular play, he runs upfield and he gets more than 10. The guy has, I'm telling you, he has sleeper speed for being that big. I think the biggest running backs that we've had here, I think Eddie Lacy was like close to like 260. And then I think Eddie Lacy was like 263 or something like that, which is crazy. Daniel Hill's a big boy. Just, not a lot of experience. Again, pass protection. How are these guys in pass protection? I have no idea. All right, next up. This is interesting. Write this down. Dre Washington, right? Came over from Louisiana. 5'9", 216 pounds. Yo, that's just a bowling ball. He's a redshirt senior. He actually has the most experience outside of Jam Miller within this running back room, okay? 229 carries during his career at Louisiana, 1,300 yards. Doesn't have a high volume of touchdowns. Speed, power, a little bit of shift. Again, I have no idea about pass protection. But time and time again, when you watch his highlights, it's just this same particular play right here. Basically a mesh, gets up, he has really good vision. I don't know how fast he is. He kind of, to me, to be 100% honest, looking at the film of each of these running backs, Richard Young, Daniel Hill, and Dre Washington, I don't see elite, exceptional speed from any of them, okay? With that said, each of those running backs is very good about running between the tackles. Each of those running backs has really good north and south speed, right? If you're a gasher and kind of wear the defense down, you have 3 running backs that can 100% do that. And do you need a running back that's an absolute speed back? None of these guys are Jahmyr Gibbs, okay? Nobody is. Jahmyr Gibbs was crazy fast. He still is. By the way, pick him up on your fantasy football team if you can. That dude's a menace. He's just slicing up the NFL. All right, so the kind of, going over the running backs that I think will get fed the most versus Florida State, the big 3, Richard Young, Daniel Hill, Dre Washington. You have really good downhill runners, right? You have power runners and guys that can effectively move the chains. So you got the speed guys on the outside. You have, one of the faster quarterbacks in college football. Yes, I said that. Ty can run. And then overall, here's the running back room. I don't know, how many distributions all these guys get. I would imagine this is probably your fastest back, Kevin Riley. I have no idea. And then you got AK Deer in there as well, right? Raffle at the back end of the show, Brandon. Hacker Music says Eddie Lacy weighed 230 at Bama. Okay. And then NFL 260. Was there anyone that weighed more than Daniel Hill at Bama? I appreciate that, Hacker Music. Thanks for the update, bro. So, look, I'm sure you're not shocked, and if you're a Florida State fan out there watching, you're probably not shocked or surprised that Alabama has this type of depth at running back. And you need this type of depth at running back, receiver. It's a grind of a season. You're talking about 16 games, right? You're talking about nearly 25 weeks of football. Man, Alabama has depth at running back. So how long? I think the biggest question is how long will Jam Miller be out? I don't know. I would imagine, listening to Pay and Coach Kalen DeBoer didn't really put a timetable on it. I heard from somebody be ready by Georgia. That pairs up with what Pate heard. So let's just take it as it comes and get these running backs. And sometimes it's kind of, things are like blessing in disguises, right? Because none of these other running backs really had a lot of experience. So kind of a good opportunity for these guys to get volume in the first couple games of the season, right? All right, Darren says the King, I'm just going to refer to him as the King. You know who I'm talking about. Was 247. I'm still, if Derrick Henry's on the board still in fantasy football, I'm taking him 100%. I don't know if he runs for 2,000 yards again, but he might. What were the Titans thinking letting him go? Did they think like he had no miles left?